So I usually never answer questions of this nature. Well, that's not really true. I do, partially because I admit I enjoy saying I enjoy giving, negative answers. I don't mind being a naysayer. But this chart is fascinating and it's super descriptive. This we're talking horary, we're not talking natal now, which of course is a little bit more enjoyable for me. And I want to read a little bit of this description and then go into why, what my answer is. So, what's going on with our relationship? So, the boyfriend, they're going through a turbulent time full of miscommunication and misunderstanding. Blocking and unblocking each other. She's feeling erratic, or rather, we'll assume it's a she is feeling. They are feeling erratic and can't tell whether it's a spiritual experience between them. They've got this spiritual synchronicity, or if he's playing mind games, right? So I guess it is a she. He's paranoid and thinks she's sinning. So they're both involved in all this kind of delusion that they're both kind of what shall we say? They're cultivating together. They're kind of cultivating an illusion where both of them are. And note that the moon is the ruler of the 12th house. We're going to make this chart a little larger, but the 12th house is the house of secret enemies and black magic and all of that stuff. Not voodoo, voodoo madness. So the 12th house is the house of voodoo madness. So exactly. So let's actually get to the chart itself. So we can see what's going on. First, we can see what's going on because the ruler of the first and the ruler of the seven are together in Pisces with Rahu and Neptune. And so there's all this. Remember that Rahu in Vedic astrology rules ghosts and specters, things that can't be seen with the naked eye, and so things that like, animals can see, but that people can't because Rahu is the absence of light, right? Because he's one of the main things, because being the mouth of the dragon, he's one of the main things that can devour and eclipse the two lights. Or I'm saying he, but it's the serpent. And then Neptune, of course, we know what Neptune does, creates fog, glamours, illusions, delusions, etc. Right? So we know that everything that they're talking about, all of this kind of, oh, are you sending me a spiritual attack? Things that are intangibles, all of the intangibles, all these water signs. Look, we've got the grand trine happening, or grand trine, yeah, between the moon, the Saturn, and the moon, the Saturn, and the Mars. Okay, so the moon, the Saturn, so the partner's involved in this, and then obviously the moon is always the ruler of the question, and then Mars is Mars is he's the ruler of contentions and things that are difficult. So the first thing that I noticed in this chart was that Sun and Saturn were ruling, the first and seventh house, and I thought, oh, this sounds like ego, and there's ego challenges and controlling behavior or control, or etc. And then I saw where everything was in Pisces, and I was like, wait, there's all kinds of like not really being able to figure out what's what and who's who and where are we going and what are we doing. Everything is topsy turvy and nothing is defined, and other all these kinds of things. And then of course the sun is leaving the Saturn. So that you'd have two things. You've got the sun that's combusting the Saturn, right? And then you've got the Saturn that is cooling down the sun, right? Because the sun is excessively hot and dry, and the Saturn is excessively hot and cold, right? So you got those two kind of things happening, but ultimately Saturn is being combusted. So the other person is probably feeling burnt out by you or burned by you, and you're probably feeling held back by them. Right, held back or manipulated or controlled, unduly controlled by them. And then the nature of the contention, I'm not looking at it as a ruler of the house, but Mars just as the ruler of contention. The nature of the contention is, are you my secret enemy? Are you hexing me? And maybe you're hexing me. Are you hexing me? Right? And we've got the moon in the subterranean house, the fourth house, which is the subterranean, and we've got the mutual reception between the 12th and the fourth. But so we've got mutual reception and then the trine to Saturn as well. So basically, Saturn is involved in, or they are in really kind of a, shall we say, I think that they might be the locus of much of the problem, of much of the insanity. shall we say? And I'm going to say that for two reasons. One is that if you'll notice, Saturn is at 22 degrees of Pisces and Sun is at 28, and which means that the Sun is about to leave the sign. Now it's about to go into Neptune, so I don't have a lot of faith in your choices right now, because it sounds like you're kind of deep in the delusion and deep in the fantasy of it, and and part of this whole kind of voodoo madness thing that you were just writing about is it's got so much ability to attract, right? It's so absorbing and engaging. It's such an engaging issue to have. So there's so much. It's such a charismatic thing to be involved in, right? So it brings you all back into this kind of fraught kind of situation, right? Fraught, undefined. Where are we? What's going on? Are you hexing me? What are you doing? Right? That kind of shit, which I love. I mean, hate for you, but I love for astrology. I love for the art of astrology. So, what do I think? I think that it's time this relationship is over. And I think this relationship is over because, as I mentioned, I think that the other person is the locus of a lot of the insanity, and you've gotten sucked in. Partially because the ruler of the seventh is the superior planet, or the slower, heavier planet, and you, the planet representing you, the sun, is the lighter. And so I think that, and also because the sun is about to move into the sign of its exaltation, this person, in my opinion, is holding you back, which is something Saturn does, right? Saturn inhibits, Saturn limits, Saturn pisses on our parade. Saturn is a killjoy and makes everything that was fun into work. Saturn rains on our parade. Saturn, it's all those things, right? So Saturn is all of that stuff that is no damn fun. And Saturn, an example of which is that Saturn rejoices, or is in his joy, in the 12th house, which, as you see, is also the house that's ruled by the moon. The moon is the ruler of the question. So the 12th house being the kind of what the question ruler rules in this chart gives us a clue too, because I always call the 12th house the house of pipe dreams, right? And I'm always attracted to the love questions where the 12th house is being focused on, or being, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what it is. Anyway, where it's being what is the word? It's being, I don't know. Anyway, it'll come to me. But so I always like the charts where the 12th house is huge. And so the 12th house is huge here once again because the moon is the ruler of the question, and then because also the moon and Mars are doing the mutual reception, which are linking the moon to Mars and linking the fourth house to the 12th house. I also think it's over because the fourth house is the house of endings. It's the house of it's where we go at the end of our life. It's the grave. It's subterranean. It's the 6 feet under house. And so I think that I don't, first of all, I don't think that this relationship has a foundation, is grounded in any kind of foundation. Right, or rather, the foundation it's grounded in is black magic woman, and it's grounded in fantasy. 12th house, eighth house, 12th house. It's terror, mental instability as a result of terror. The eighth house is also known as the house of terror, fear and terror, and then the 12th house, which is the house of the black magic and the secret enemy, but also the self-undoing and the pipe dream and the delusions. Right, and so illusions, and then of course we've got Neptune involved here too. So we've got delusions, and we've got the sign of Pisces, which is non-reality. So we've got illusions and delusions and the charisma, the attractiveness of those things. I mean, really, that's super kind of. I mean, when you think about it, like just from us on the outside, or at least for me, that sounds like a super fun dynamic if I weren't in it. Right? I would love that. Like, are you hexing me? No, I'm not hexing you. Yes, you are. I mean, I just fucking love that, right? And so I think that I get how fun it is. I get how sexy it is. The sex may be good. There may not be any sex in the relationship. It could be all this, right? But with Pisces, they're more than likely. But so I get how sexy all this occult voodoo madness is. I get it. And I get how alluring, that's the word I was looking for. I get how alluring all this is. I do. It's Venus's exaltation after all. She's the mistress of allure. However, this motherfucker is holding you back, and it's time for you to go because keep thinking if indeed you're the being represented by the sun in 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks, the sun is moving. I mean, well, in 2 degrees, the sun is moving into its exaltation. That looks into 2 weeks for you. So if you can extricate yourself, find a way to ground yourself. It's interesting, we don't have anything here to ground you. We don't have any earth in this chart, but that's, oh wait, where's the part of fortune? I didn't find that out. Let's see where the part of fortune is, and that might give us a nice clue. Ooh, no, ooh, like one of the last things that's going to happen is the moon is going to oppose the Uranus, which is Uranus's instability, destabilization. So like I said, I think this relationship is over. Okay, let's see. It's daytime, so sun to moon. So back 120, back 13. Back 120, that's 18 Aries. Back 13 is 5 degrees of Aries. Okay, so Aries is the ruler. So still no Earth, but note that Venus is there. So we know that this question is radical, right? So Venus, the goddess of love, in detriment and retrograde, or maybe she's not retrograde here. She should be, is she? No, yeah, she is. Venus, detriment and retrograde, which of course she's the natural significator for love relationships. So that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And then the ruler of the seventh, and what we just dealt with and talked with. First triplicity ruler of the seventh is also Saturn, right? So that comes back to what we were talking about, and how this Jupiter is really this whatever this fanciful eighth house. This I love it. It's so creative and interesting and fucking sexy. And I hope that you were having good sex because I could see. I mean, ooh, I mean, especially if the sex is good. Can you imagine? Like if the sex is fucking amazing and you think, I mean, in fact, I'm just dealing with it. Oh my God, this gives me a perfect entree into a story. So, many of you may or may not know that I was in Peru last year doing ayahuasca, and I was working with a curandero that I met here in Mexico, and amazing experience, etc. But we found out that this curandero had put kind of like a binding slash love spell on this woman that we knew, and it really wreaked a lot of havoc in both of their lives. It ended up wreaking havoc in both of their lives. So that kind of shit does happen. It is real. And matter of fact, she is about to leave Peru right now, going to another curandero to undo what just happened to her. So I mean, so even like I'm saying, it's such an alluring tale. It's such a fascinating thing to be able to say that happened. And I don't necessarily know that it actually is happening. To be honest with you, because it's kind of part of the ambiguity, the Piscean ambiguity of the entire situation. But thank you so much for sharing this fucking chart. It's so hilarious. This relationship is over, sweetie. Be the sun. 2 weeks. You can have your fun with the nonsense for 2 more weeks and then get the hell out.